They say strange things happen in Madrid. That beneath the asphalt and among the neon lights there are ancient shadows that only show themselves to those who no longer expect anything good. I don't know if I believe in ghosts. I'm not one to pose in front of cameras to prove anything. But I do know how to tell you what I saw. And though it sounds like a cheap warning, this happened. And sometimes I think that if I tell too much, something that should remain whispered will lengthen its steps and come looking for me. It all started with a short video, just another one, that I saw on one of those nights when I was bored scrolling through my social media. It was a blurry, vertical clip with no title. I found it by chance, appearing on an account I didn't follow, but that the algorithm brought to me. In the video was just any metro station, an empty platform, the clock flickering, and in the distance, the figure of a woman crossing the screen from side to side. Nothing strange, until I slowed the clip down and noticed that the woman had no shadow. Not a faint shadow, but a total absence of one. The floor beneath her feet was illuminated and suddenly, exactly where she walked, it kept shining uninterrupted. No one in the comments mentioned it. No one spoke of anything so strange, so I thought it must be a filter effect. I didn't pay it much mind, until days later I saw her again. This time on a security camera someone had placed in a communal hallway of a building near Gran Via. I recognized her immediately. The video sounded like a short circuit. White noise, a distant murmur. The woman crossed the scene, eyes fixed on a point that didn't exist for the camera. The neighbors complained about noises at night in the comments, but no one bolted when they saw her. Not even the oldest residents. I, however, began to notice a strange pattern. Every time the woman appeared on any camera, a person from the neighborhood disappeared from social networks for weeks. Sometimes they returned as if nothing had happened, with old photos and a profile empty of life. Others, worse, remained silent. I started making a list. It's not a pride, it's a burden I carry. The woman had no name. Some accounts called her the one who doesn't cast or the platform lady. Others jokingly called her the forgetfulness employee. No one knew where she came from. That's why I became obsessed with her videos. I consumed them like one reads a bad novel, incapable of putting it down until the last page. I played amateur detective, traced metadata, compared times, looked for patterns in public cameras. I discovered two things that didn't make sense. The woman always appeared in places where, years before, violent events or unresolved tragedies had occurred, and her appearances never coincided with the same hours. She appeared day or night, in an old cinema, at the entrance of a school, in the hollow of a decayed staircase. And each appearance brought with it people who stopped talking, businesses that closed without warning, and a feeling of emptiness. I spoke to a security guard, a tired man with hands like maps. He looked at me with disdain until he said, "There are things it's better not to see, and people it's better not to study." He warned me that some curiosities, when stirred, attract the attention of those who sleep just below the city's surface. Of course, I didn't listen. Who listens when curiosity gnaws from within? But that night, returning home, someone slipped an envelope under my door. No sender. Inside, a single photo on cheap paper. The platform of line 3 near a train that never arrived, and her in the background. On the back, a hurriedly written word. Look. The next day I went to the platform. The station smelled of metal and old newspapers. Many thoughts crossed my mind, cameras, explanations, puddles deforming light. I sat and watched. People came and went. The train arrived and left. Nothing happened. I was about to get up when a girl, no older than 7, stared at me. She pointed and said without shyness, "The lady comes back at night and takes people away." Her mother grabbed her and gave me a look that made me think it was better to say nothing. I left without fully understanding but certain that my list of disappearances had a new number. The lady from the 5th floor disappeared the following week. I saw her months later in cutting photos, as if someone had erased what made her live. What came next was a series of signs. A bar closed with the lights on and a chair placed by the door, as if waiting for someone who would never come back. A street vendor packed up and said the air had changed flavor. Posters in the metro ripped off overnight. A teenager I liked stopped writing and left his guitar leaning in a corner with loose strings. My list was now a thread cutting through lives. I followed the trail more by intuition than by method. I found an elderly woman, a former librarian of Lavapes, who murmured a story her parents told. There's a time when cities get sick. Then the midwives of memory come out to gather what's left over. I didn't know what she meant, but her tone was an ancient warning. She told me one more thing that chilled me. Don't look at her directly, because if you look, she really sees you. She didn't explain what it meant to really see her. I, of course, didn't listen again. Curiosity once more. One rainy, whisper-light night, I saw her outside the Anton Martin market. She walked among people with bags. She took steps without touching the pavement. She had no shadow, indeed. I was scared. When our eyes met, I felt naked. It was as if she had read me. She didn't speak. No one ever spoke to her. She just cast her eyes on me as if to confirm something she already knew, that I had seen her. The next morning, the local radio announced a traffic accident on the Ring Road. 3 cars involved, 1 seriously injured, and a woman driving with a lost look. Among the victims was a kind neighbor who used to greet me in the building. That night the wind brought something stuck to my windows, a paper on which several names were crossed out. The last one was mine. I laughed nervously, but I was truly frightened. I threw it in the trash. I acted like someone who refuses to accept that legend had invaded reality. But not a month passed without the grandma from the neighborhood, that one who knows everything because she spies through the blinds, pulling my sleeve and whispering in my ear. Leave her be. Don't ask questions. If you don't invite her, she won't enter. The tone was of someone who knows a nasty secret. I thanked her and returned home with the feeling that my apartment, my life, my curiosity, something of mine, had been touched. Today I write this with the window open, so the smoke of my nerves will go away and won't stick to my clothes. I don't know if the woman is a punishment or a cleansing. I don't know if she collects those who have forgotten how to live or if she brings back names that should never have been erased. All I know is that when I write and review the disappearances, when I glance at my phone and social networks, I feel the city breathes differently, lighter where she's passed and colder where the absence remains. If you ask what advice I would give, I'd say, walk without staring at shop windows too long. Don't stop at vertical videos with no title. And if you ever see a woman moving as if crossing a screen without a reflection, don't pay attention. Pretend you haven't seen her. Or better yet, look away. Not out of cowardice. Out of caution. Maybe if she doesn't record your name, she'll continue on her path and leave in peace what you hold in your hands. The last time I heard about her was at a bar in Lavapes. A guy playing guitar stopped because someone at the table next to him suddenly went mute. No one knew why. Just as I stood to leave, the woman entered through the main door, without a shadow as always, and sat at the last table. No one saw her arrive. No one brought her a drink. Yet when the light touched her face, for a second I saw my name written on her skin, like an epitaph. Since then I cannot sleep without thinking about how cities keep what embarrasses us, and that sometimes there are visitors who only collect the leftover. If you hear this story at night, at the station or in the dark room where the hallway light doesn't reach, don't be alarmed. Just don't say my name out loud. Don't call it. Don't look. And if the woman crosses your path, smile, offer a polite gesture, a simple hello, and keep going. Walk away slowly. You'll see the city return to its rhythm, lighter, like when a secret no one wanted to hold is finally released. And still, sometimes, I look at my trash, hoping to find another paper with names crossed out. But so far, only envelopes with blurry photos have arrived, and occasionally the feeling that someone in the shadows patiently reads me.